Hello, Light of the World. So, I went to a prayer meeting about a month or two ago, and the whole focus was on Psalm 23. We all know Psalm 23. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. But I never really thought about it before, and definitely not in the capacity that the a person who kind of was guiding us through it talked about. And I thought it was really helpful. And there was a prescription to it too. So she was saying how there was a man who was just really depressed, had a lot of anxiety, had been on so many different medications for so many different things to try to kind of ease his symptoms or make him better. And nothing was working. And so his doctor, who was also a Christian, basically told him his prescription was to read the Psalm 23 5 times a day. First at breakfast. No, I'm sorry. First when you wake up in the morning, then at breakfast, then at lunch, then at dinner, and then before going to bed. But not just reading it, just really taking it in, soaking it in, and breathing in the meaning of Psalm 23. And so she went through the psalm with us and explained what it meant. And in the time, this is pre-Jesus, David was the shepherd who created this psalm. And so it was before we knew of the salvation that was to come. And so it was a time of, people were pretty terrified, not only of just life on earth, but what afterwards, of what happens after you die. And so it's just amazing that he was so calm and so peaceful in such a time. And so he created this psalm in the eyes and from the knowledge of a shepherd. And so let me kind of explain what she explained to us, and hopefully I'll do it justice. She did an excellent job. So it starts, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So Lord being your shepherd, basically the sheep are pretty much helpless. They need the shepherd to guide them to wherever they need to go. They are kind of low on the totem pole when it comes to prey. So in order to survive, they need a shepherd to guide them to the right places. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. So what the shepherd would do after the sheep eat is he would make them lie down in green pastures, where it's nice and cool in the shade. And the reason for that is because the sheep had to digest their food. If they didn't do that, they could get a condition that could cause them to die. So he actually made them lie down. And she was talking about how God sometimes makes us lie down. For example, if we get injured or something like that, if we're just going, it's really hard to be in touch with God. And so God sometimes has to make us lie down and to make us slow down so that we can be with him. And he leads me beside still waters. Well, the sheep, being the shape that they are, and with all of that hair, if they go in, raging waters like, rapids or just even just a really fast running river, they could drown pretty easily because the weight of the hair just kind of brings them down. So the shepherd guides them to still waters where they can drink and cool off. And God does the same for us. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So God restores us just the way the shepherd kind of restores the sheep by taking care of them and leading them in paths of righteousness, leading them to the right paths that will help them survive. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So this is probably the most popular line in the whole psalm. And this is one that I just really fell in love with after she explained it. So the sheep, obviously, like I said, are prey to just about anything. The wolves, bears, whatever wild animals, they were good food for those animals. And so they followed the shepherd because they knew that he would not only lead them to the right places, but he would defend them if need be. And that's where the rod and the staff come in. So the rod was, the big kind of pole thing that the shepherd would walk with. And that was to actually defend against any wild predator. So he could hit them with it and kind of make them run away or injure them. Either way, protect the sheep. Now the staff, that was something really cool that I had never heard about before. So, in mountainous areas where shepherds often find themselves and sheep often find themselves, sheep aren't that smart, right? They follow the shepherd and they follow the other sheep. And sometimes they find themselves in precarious situations where they kind of fall off the side of the mountain, or at least kind of lose their footing. Now the staff is like this curved thing on a pole, so that if they were to fall off, the shepherd can take that staff, grab the sheep around its neck and pull it up to safety. I just the picture of that in my head is just really cool. So God does that for us as well. He will always be there for us, and he'll always pull us back to safety if we just ask. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. Again, he feeds the sheep. He takes care of them in this green pasture where, off in the distance, there's all these wild predators that are waiting to devour the sheep. Same thing with us. God is taking care of us and providing for us in this world that's often very dark, and often people and other things are just looking to devour us, either literally or spiritually. But God is there for us to take care of us and to feed us with his light and with his spirituality. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. So this is another really cool thing, and I didn't know this before. After the shepherd brings the sheep back to where they actually live, he will let them in the gate one by one and check each sheep to make sure that they're not injured. And if they are, he will take oil, like this really healing ointment, and put that oil on their injuries. But the thing that I found most fascinating about this is that he actually takes the sheep in one by one and checks each sheep individually. And we are reminded in this that God is not just seeing us as a whole. He actually sees us individually, and he takes care of us individually. And we know the passage in the Bible that says, I have counted all of your hairs before you were born. And that is so true. God is not looking at us collectively. He's not comparing us to other people. He's looking at us and comparing us to ourselves. And he's loving us no matter what we've done or what we may do, because we're his creation and he loves us. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all of the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So that kind of speaks for itself, but Why don't you go ahead and try this? I did this, and it really did bring a sense of peace over me, because we know that no matter what happens in our lives, God will always be there for us. God will always take care of us. So, happy Sunday, everybody. Have a great day.